It's just fantastic. Captain's log, subdates 210406.8. After a random cell search, guards found 1 bottle of Nutriloaf-made hooch, 2 shivs made from inmate shoe velcro, and a paper airplane made from used loo roll. It is an impressive haul for those in for cannibalism charges. Welcome everyone to the Halls of Injustice. Today we have inmate number 067, called Glebs Zaicev. Okay, for the remainder of this video, I'm either going to call him Inmate 067 or Jeff, because I'm too lazy to learn to pronounce a Latvian name. Inmate 067, or Jeff, is, as earlier stated, a Latvian national with no fixed abode, which is quite interesting, because he now does have one. It's an ISO-cube if that wasn't obvious enough. Who has a criminal record that usually involves some form of theft. He's good at it. Not the theft part, the getting caught part. He's a pro. Get good, scrubs. For the story we're about to tell, we need to put Jeff to one side and instead replace him with a couple, a nameless couple, who decided to go on holiday. They are from Tychach in Wales. Before leaving, they locked all the doors. They turned on the house security alarm and naffed off on their leisurely holiday. 2 days later, Jeff decided, oh whoa, what do we have here? And so he made himself comfortable by having a bit of nosh, a drink, a smoke, even though the couple themselves don't, a wank, some sleep, and to go for some drives in their car. It is worth noting now the car did have a full tank initially, not when they returned. 5 days later, the couple returned home. They noticed something though. The car was not parked where they left it. This is where they noticed half the tank had been used up. So they approached the house and noticed smoke. They then went inside, because they should have called the police first, but screw that. Let's go inside like the Scooby Gang. They went upstairs and found Jeff asleep in their bed, to which they then decided to simply ask questions. Jeff decided to tell them it was raining and he needed somewhere to shelter, which is a totally legit excuse. Seriously, an amazing reason to stay in someone else's home, which had locks and alarms. He then picked up his coat, said this was all rather embarrassing, and left. Now I'm sure many of you are now wondering, how did he manage to get in? He disabled the internet connection and deactivated the external lights. Doing so allowed Jeff to circumnavigate the alarm. Genius, right? It is worth adding now, the couple did lodge an official complaint with the police after he left. My view, they should have called the police. He could have been arrested then. But I guess, in the heat of a moment, I can understand why one would simply challenge another and then simply let them walk out. This, though, is not the end of the story for Jeff. You see, Jeff was finally caught a month later in a co-op in another area of Wales. This time, though, he was caught shoplifting. Being the superhero-esque professional burglar that he is, he was caught with some tea lights and a packet of nuts. I know, capital punishment territory. The reason though he was rumbled was because of his behaviour in the shop. He was acting very irrational, a bit off his head. This was further proven when the police searched him and they discovered a flip knife and a bag of meth. I can't imagine what was wrong. I'm sure that was used to ease his anxiety. Totally. Anyway, once he was cooled off and able to be interviewed, he decided to be smart about this and simply plead guilty, admit all charges. It was then that, because of a description handed to the police via another report, that they then found out he was the guy who broke into a house a month earlier when a family was on holiday. So understandably there were additional charges. But it is worth noting now, these were held within 2 separate trials. The first one, because he pleaded guilty, Simply put, 8 weeks in prison for all the charges: shoplifting, carrying an offensive weapon, and obviously the meth. Based on the fact he got a sentence of 8 weeks for that, I'm inclined to believe he told them where he got the meth. It is also worth adding now, when he was, Jeff that is, asked if he would like legal counsel, someone to assist him in ensuring he was treated fairly, he said no. He declined any legal assistance of any kind, choosing to represent himself, which is a bold move, a really bold move. And as earlier stated, it clearly didn't work, because he got 8 weeks for the shoplifting, meth and knife. But maybe it did work. Maybe he cut a deal. So on to the second trial, the trial that concerned him breaking into a family home. He again pled guilty to the charges. I assume for him, since he has no fixed abode, he actually kinda wanted somewhere he could stay for a while. Don't worry, fam, we've got you here. He was, after a very brief trial, found guilty of the breaking and entering and, the burglarizing and Grand Theft Auto. Is that even a charge in the UK? Doesn't matter. He was sentenced to a rather interesting sentence, one I actually don't agree with. 36 weeks in prison, which could be considered reasonable, actually, for that kind of crime. I'd rather have him serve the community, i.e. the family he stole from. Perhaps he could install brand new locks, replace the food, get the tar off the ceiling by repainting it, fill up the petrol tank with his mouth. Those 36 weeks though, half of which will be served in prison, the remainder within the community. But this sentence isn't the full sentence. In fact, he gets a 25% discount, taking his prison sentence down to 27 weeks, meaning that he'll serve even less in prison and even less within the community because of his guilty plea. This does not include the additional 8 weeks he gets for shoplifting, knife, and drug-related matters. The judge, though, was a bit concerned because Judge Thomas, who sentenced for the housebreak-related charge, felt that the shoplifting, knife, and drug matters had been done in a piecemeal fashion instead of being treated individually, coming up with a rather arbitrary sentence, which there is actually a good point too. I assume because guilty, they just decided 8 weeks, here's an arbitrary number, because none of the sentencing guidelines would indicate a sentence fitting compared to what he received. I did write down in my notebook 36 weeks as a suitable sentence for the housebreak, but it will be spent working in an RV as a confectionery test monkey. I have no idea what I meant. It's possible I was far too busy eating blue sugar. Anyway, get in your cell, Jeff, inmate 067. Enjoy your 36-week sentence. No, we're not letting you out early. No, you don't get a discount. Oh, and we'll add the additional 8. 44 weeks. We'll see you after Christmas then. As we're done here, I would very much like to know what you all think, so please do let me know in the comments down below. As a little spoiler, next week's gonna be a cannibal. I know, how exciting. Have a great day everyone, thank you all very much for listening.